Hi, and welcome to New God Sunday School. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. Free Comic Book Day is Saturday, May 6th, and there will be a special Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan available. I'll also be appearing on Free Comic Book Day at Phantom of the Attic Comics Oakland in Pittsburgh from 1:30 to 4. I hope to see you there. So here we are, New Gods number 8, another one of Jack Kirby's all-time best comics. I think this particular issue is Mark Evaniers' favorite Jack Kirby comic. It's a powerful one. It is great. I mean, we're getting close to the end of a string of non-stop all-time classics. Really the best that superhero comics have to offer, the best that Jack Kirby has to offer, has been happening for the past couple issues across New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and Forever People. And this is up there with the rest of them. You could make the argument that any of these issues is Jack Kirby's greatest comic. This isn't my personal pick for his greatest comic. Ultimately, it just comes down to personal preference. And I just prefer the sort of pure otherworldliness of New Gods number 7. But this one's really great. It's called The Death Wish of Terrible Turpin. And it's got, just like an epic battle, a big grudge match between Orion and Calibac, really, cementing them as eternal adversaries. You also have the human equation. You have the people caught in the middle. And in this case, Terrible Turpin, Sergeant Dan Turpin, is really representing mankind very well, really, standing up to these two Goliaths. Just a great example of superhero storytelling, of modern myth making. Let's dive in. Orion, Light Ray, Calibac, and a detective who tries to save his city from a titanic battle of the New Gods. I'm placing you under arrest, even if I die for it. Stay back, you men. It's forbidden to interfere in personal combat. Read The Death Wish of Terrible Turpin. This comic predates the movie Death Wish. I wonder if the makers of that movie are Jack Kirby fans. I'd love to know, because it sure has a sort of, tough as nails guy who just isn't going to take it anymore. Now, this has been a long teased battle between Orion and Calibac. They had a very short skirmish in issue 1 of New Gods. In issue 5 of New Gods, Calibac's boom tube arrives and he makes his way through it, and it's not until now, issue 8, that we finally get that match, and it's a big one. Calibac looks amazing, monstrous, sort of like a caveman or something, wearing these kind of like Flash Gordon villain duds. He's got this giant club, and he's just demolished. He knows he's close. He's trying to hone in on the humans who he had, been holding captive in issue 1 of New Gods that Orion rescued him from. He's trailed them to Earth. He's close. He bashes in somebody's apartment. Look at that. And then he's like, nope, wrong place, but I'm close. And he's lowering himself down. I just think, you have these great, sort of, what you think of from Kirby, these sort of like in-your-face point of view shots, very three-dimensional. But then it's really neat when he does these sort of almost like two-dimensional diagrammatic pages. Like, it really reads well. You really get that, he's moving down, and that continued movement. And then we get, I love this, we're at Claudia Shane's point of view, Calibac looking down at you about to strike, and Dave Lincoln's got his gun. And then we get the reverse angle, and now you're Calibac and you're getting shot at by Dave Lincoln, and it's like there's no stopping him. He's he took a couple bullets to the face, laughs it off. Your weapon barks but has no bite. Not against one bred in the Special Powers Force, which we also heard Big Barda. She's another product of the Special Powers Force on Apocalypse, and so he's just firing away. The gun, maybe at the very least, it's annoying Calibac enough to keep him at bay a little bit, and then. The thing, I think Jerry Seinfeld jokes about this in Superman. They shoot at Superman. They empty all their bullets into Superman. It doesn't do a thing. And so what? Throwing the gun is going to do something. But Again, it's really cool staging. Dave Lincoln throws the gun, beautifully drawn Kirby gun. And that's something that is really interesting with this issue. Like if you're on Apocalypse or New Genesis and stuff, and you see all this like sort of Kirby calligraphy, all these marks and squiggles and shapes that are part of Kirby's visual language, it's like, on these alien worlds, they just sort of fit like a glove. They're perfect. But when you take them into sort of like, Earth, into like sort of everyday modern settings, they become extra interesting. Like it's really interesting seeing all that alien visual language applied to, as of the 70s, a modern day handgun. And it's just like you're in Kirby's visual world, and it makes everything magical. Everything is a totem in Kirby's world. Even familiar things, even an ashtray is a work of sculptural art. Even the average guy can have moments of heroism and stand up to somebody far more powerful than they are. And Dave Lincoln's not doing too bad. But, it's only a matter of time before he's smashed into pieces. And now we're at the office. And Sergeant Dan Turpin is, having an argument with the guy who's his boss, who, he knew him back when... Don't bring up the bit about knowing me when. This isn't just Matt Kiernan, a rookie cop talking. I get it, Chief. You'd like to see me retire with my hide intact. Thanks. So it's one of these setups where it's like he's telling Turpin to stand down. Sorry to interrupt you this way, sir, but this weirdo war has broken wide open. We've got one of them cornered in Midtown. You'd never believe it, sir, but it may take everything we've got to bag this one. The weirdy war has escalated. Calibac's smashing everything up, and they're going, "Move it, men. Pick your weapons and ammo from the new stuff we ordered. Turpin, you stay. That's my final." "Don't stop me, Matt. I know you can do it, but don't stop me." "Okay, go ahead, but when you get back, the only detail you'll get is safety guard at a school street crossing. It's your police force, Commissioner. Be seeing you when I get back." He's going to let Turpin, do his thing and most likely get himself killed. The new gods show up. Orion and Light Ray, after their big adventure in the previous issue, not the previous issue, 2 issues ago in issue 6, the Glory Boat, and now they're back in the city, back in Metropolis. "There go more police cars, Harold. I wonder what's happening. Probably something we should stay out of." Written, drawn, and edited by Jack Kirby, inked by Mike Royer. "Anyway, I'd much rather be here with you, and I with you. Why, if 10 superheroes landed on this roof right now, I'd see only you, Harold." And so it is with the romantic young Light Ray, part fantasy, part truth, all comedy. Not to them, Orion. It's reality to them. Now they're going to go visit Victor Lanza, insurance agent, and they're riding in an elevator. Gee, are you groovy characters friends of the Lanzas? Are they giving a costume party or something? I don't know, but it would be fun. I'm giving a party in apartment 5C tonight. Why don't you drop by? Bring Humphrey Bogart with you, too. If you mean Orion, I fear your hopes are in doubt. I like the idea of Orion as Humphrey Bogart. And for this panel, at least, Kirby kind of draws him looking like Humphrey Bogart. And so they show up at Victor Lanza's, ring the bell. It looks like the whole police force has been called out. Wonder what's up. Now, I've read this comic a million times, but like my recollections of it are always just that it's like just this huge battle that just goes on through the whole thing between Orion and Calibac. But it's got like the sort of quiet before the storm. There's so much buildup, and the skirmishes escalate. First, it's Calibac versus Dave Lincoln, and just the framing, the buildup makes everything work, and that's what sort of struck me reading it this time around. It's just how great the buildup is, and it's like I think this comic. I think reading this comic, we're seeing like the origin story of Frank Miller. Like this is Sin City. This is crime comics as superhero comics, and Turpin is like straight out of Sin City. Like if you kind of take Orion and Light Ray out of the equation, this really is like a Frank Miller comic. The sort of breakneck speeding chase to the crime scene is like that's in like Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. Like it's a very Miller-ish thing. King Kong on a rooftop is no more dangerous than a nervous punk with a pistol. The idea is to give as good as you get. And so they get to the crime scene, and man, look at that picture of Calibac. I mean, that's That is some great gargoyle. Like that is, begone, you flies, I wait for Orion. And from the shattered apartment window, a face appears, a face from fiery, seething depths, a face from apocalypse. And like Calibac, I grew up with the, Super Friends, Superpowers cartoon, and Calibac on there always seemed like a little bit wimpy. He was always like, Father, help me. Like he was always seemed a little bit like sniveling and, always ask Father. Seeing Calibac here in this comic, he's like so ferocious and such a formidable presence. I kind of wish I would have read these comics before I saw the cartoon, because it kind of, I really like this Calibac. And in the Superman the Animated Series cartoons, Calibac is really good in there too. Michael Dorn does the voice, and he just sounds really ferocious and formidable, and he's drawn in sort of more of a Kirby style. And just really great. But that Superpower Super Friends kind of is a little wimpy, but here he's terrifying. So that's the score. Orion will come to help Lincoln, and boom, we'll see a battle that'll level this block like a 1,000-pound bomb. Calibac is, blasting them with his club, and it looks like Turpin's out of commission. He's just getting started. His thought balloon. That did it, super rat. I'm gonna haul you in or die trying. Just great. Nothing stops this guy. He is tough as nails. And, he's a Jack Kirby character. He's a Frank Miller character. And at the Lanza's apartment, Orion's introducing everybody, and he's meeting Mrs. Lanza for the first time, and they're meeting Light Ray for the first time. And, oh, what a nice young man. And they, give him some food. And Orion sees there's a battle going on, and he is impatient and angry. He's shaking the family TV, flinging it around like it's nothing. And TVs back then, they were fucking heavy. You'd have to be a superhero to do this with a TV back then. Calibac is here, and he struck at an ally. That's the building in which I am Dave Lincoln's guest. War is breaking out. Turpin and his crew are firing away at Calibac. It's rough. And hold your fire, you there! I'm giving you 1 minute to turn yourself in. Keep talking and court death. You called it, mister. I'm coming to get you. Come back. Have you flipped your lid? And this is like, one of those like, I'm getting too old for this shit, or, it's his last day on the job and he's bringing in the big fish. Turpin, he's taken a beating already, but he's going, and bam, jumps over a roof. I mean, this is, this guy needs his own series, And in the Superman the Animated Series cartoon, they redraw Turpin to make him look exactly like Jack Kirby. It's sort of a tribute to Kirby. They have him die, and it's a big tribute to Jack Kirby, and they have a funeral that's basically like a stand-in for Jack Kirby's funeral. With a powerful clout from his club, a large brick chimney is lifted and flung at Turpin. Arrogant little earth swine! Crash. Turpin, are you all right? And man, look at that face. Look at that face. He, he's been through the ringer. He's old. He's just been battered with all this stone. Stay back, you guys. You got your orders earlier. Stick to your posts until the equipment shows up. Meanwhile, I've got some stuff that might stop this ape. So they're waiting for the heavy equipment that they ordered, to stop this super crew. And so he has these sort of shock grenades that he throws, and boom, it sends Calibac flying. And look, Turpin's still going. You did it, Turpin. He's been flipped clear off the roof. We're coming to get you. Don't be fools. I didn't hear him land. My guess is that he isn't through yet. And blam, he's climbing up. Had enough, Earthling. Destroying Calibac is not an easy task. Now, after all this fun, excitement, build-up, this harrowing journey of Terrible Turpin, he might not even be alive at this point, Calibac might be beating up a corpse, but finishing what's left of you will be as simple as crushing a worm. And here come the heroes. You're going to get one of Kirby's finest fight scenes, finest examples of superhero pulchritude ever. Earth fleas, how many of you must I crush before you yield the tiger among you? Send me, Orion. Turn and look behind you, Calibac. I'm here. Orion's arm is lightning swift. He pulls Calibac down before he can drop his victim to the street below. And before this is over, I'll have silenced your murderous heart. Not if you're dead. Bam. How's that for power? Just, the light emanating from this blow. And raunch, finished for all time. Man, he's just like smacking him right down there. And then he turns on Light Ray. Then Calibac turns on Light Ray and projects a savagery fired by elemental bloodlust. This for Orion, now for you, you animal. And then Light Ray shows what he can do. He lets, with some solar thermo beams, partially melts at least the outside of Calibac's club. You underrate weapons forged on Apocalypse. Now pay for your rashness. Incredible, that club should have blown to atoms. Orion's strength has yet to be tested, eh, Calibac? My arm, how did you... You underrate what is forged on New Genesis, you dog. There, too, is power and purpose. The pressure, that damnable pressure. The fierceness of Orion is overwhelming. He tears the blast club from Calibac's hand. You've saved your hand, you hyena, but you've lost this weapon. Blast you, Orion. I'll tear the hide from your bones for this. I mean, this is non-stop savage battle drawn, in every imaginable way. I mean, look at the way he's, the struggle in their faces. He rips it away. This guy's arms hurting. Now, by what I do, you may well get a glimpse of inner fires that burn with forces unmatched by your fire pits. My club, it's beginning to bend, to crack, to break loose from the sinister energies that bind its atoms as one unit. No, impossible. It can't be happening. Behold a more painful truth, the broken fragments of your club. It would take all the might of Darkseid himself to do that. You're a monster, Orion. That seems to be the consensus of everybody who fights Orion. And Orion fights monsters, and they are horrified when they see, Orion's anger, savagery, and menace and strength. See if you can survive your own fires, Calibac. And so he takes Calibac's club that, solar heat could only, partially damage on the outside, and he breaks it in half, pulls it apart, and then sticks, sticks the two ends of it into his head like the bolts in Frankenstein's neck, and just shoots every bit of power that's in there into Calibac's head. It's real savage. And this Kirby's fights, they're so elemental, and a lot of the psychology is you can imagine, Kirby as a kid getting in these sort of street fights, jumping from rooftops to fire escapes. And this, I remember this when I was a kid, where, somebody would take a stick or something and say, see this is you. And then they break the stick, to kind of show you how tough they are or whatever. It's just great stuff. All the pain and torment in the universe can't stop what drives us. I'm your equal, Orion, but not my better. That, what a great line. And I feel like I've heard that in a Star Wars movie or Tron or something. Only your death can prove that, and you will die, Orion. You will. We fought when young, Calibac. We fight fully grown, and we shall fight till death takes one of us. There's something we share that's always driven us to each other. What it is, I cannot say, but we shall seek each other out until it's done. This kind of reminds me of the speech the Joker gives, Heath Ledger's Joker gives at the end of The Dark Knight. Let it be now, then, let it be now. And so, man, you're seeing some of the finest stuff ever. It's this, there's just this amazing battle between, two of Kirby's greats. And man, ever caught in a storm of the gods, manages to rise from its shattering wake. And so, Turpin is the extra ingredient that really makes this issue kind of a contender for greatest of all time. It's definitely a contender. And he can barely move, but you're under arrest. So the dead speak. Turpin's barely got anything left in him. He's basically just holding the meat on his bones, and he's still, telling Light Ray he's under arrest. And I like that, he's not differentiating between New Genesis and Apocalypse, good guys and bad guys. You're all a bunch of interlopers. You're all invaders as far as I'm concerned, and you're all under arrest. You're all going down. Stand back. I'm the law, understand? And no super muck-mucks are gonna use this town as a fight arena. I mean, that's what Jack Kirby does in his comics. They are these boxing comics or wrestling comics, except they use the city, New York, or a New York stand-in like Metropolis as their fight arena. As he says, "I admire your stamina, friend. Here, let me help you." Look at this face. I mean, look at it. I mean, that's a Sin City character. That's a Sin City profile right there. That could be Marv or somebody. "So, you're one of the goodies, eh? Well, I'm hauling you in too." How like those two you are. Yeah, again, like the new gods are our gods. We are reflected in the gods are reflected in us, and Turpin is, these are Turpin's gods. He's cut from the same cloth as these two. "Calibac, Orion, and yourself, seeking death out of pride, fear, or thirst for immortality. Which? Here come your men. This question must remain unanswered for now. Turpin, thank God you're still alive. The equipment, it got here. Good. Now forget about me and set it up for full charge. That unit represents a power source of great proportion, friend. Every power generator in the city, and that's shock power, friend. But you can't do this. Not even I can interfere in a situation of personal combat. Meanwhile, the grueling, damaging battle roars on." I think this panel might be in Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. I know there's some Jack Kirby New Gods panels in there. And I mean, this, again, talking about Frank Miller, I mean, Frank Miller acknowledges his huge fandom and his huge debt to Kirby, and I think he might have even cited this specific issue as an inspiration for Sin City. But we're also seeing, I mean, this is what Batman, how does an ordinary guy stop a superhero? And this is how Batman fights Superman at the end of Dark Knight Returns. He plugs into the entire power network of the city and then, sends it coursing into Superman's veins. And that's just the warm-up. So, I mean, it's like, Frank basically, lifts this. It's a great idea. "You weary, Orion. I can sense it. It'll take more than you've got to defeat me. I've got more, Calibac, and more, and whatever it takes to finish you." I mean, man, look at this stuff. I mean, these are compositions no one's ever done. And the legs are, digging into the stone, and Calibac kicks him in the face, knocks his helmet off. And as he's in this bent forward position, and now he's bent completely back from the kick, and we're going up and up. And again, Orion's POV as Calibac is taunting him to climb up and up, and then here we are. "I'm coming, Calibac, I'm coming." And we haven't gotten Orion's helmet got knocked off, but we haven't gotten a close up of him yet. And now I love these 3-panel things that Kirby will do from time to time, where you get this slow transition of, and I love what he's doing with the hands. They're not in obvious positions. And then we see Orion's face looking nastier than it's ever looked in any of these issues. We've seen it before, and each time we see it, it's like nastier than before. "Why do you retreat, Calibac? You did want to see my face." I mean, that's the big shocker. That's the thing that that face, that punum, it's Orion's secret weapon. Suddenly, at that moment, "Light Ray, you've snatched me from the kill. No, Orion, from meddling fate. Lily-livered New Genesis cowards. You've torn victory from my grasp." Then, Turpin's plan is coming to fruition. This place, this sort of electrical sign that he's on, is getting the full jolt of electricity. Bam. And there's this lettering here, and Kirby spelled out, like I've seen the original artwork, and Kirby says to put the letters here, but what ends up happening is it covers up Calibac's figure. In the original art, you can see Calibac's figure there, and I feel like we're missing something by not having it there. It still works, we're getting this far away view of what's going on, but I'd like to see Calibac. But in any event, it's awesome. And this slow motion fall of like this, you just kind of linger there seeing Calibac fall, and like the entire building's melting. It's a gargantuan power surge, and it springs from the city itself. When it is over, Calibac totters on the half-melted sign structure and falls. Whump. He did it. Turpin did it. It took every bit of everything he had, but he did it. He did it. Wow, we almost blacked out the city to get this bird. And he's only stunned. Take him in. We found a way to bust him. Now we'll find a way to hold him. And we'll get the others too. This town belongs to us. Turpin. He's okay. Turpin's got to hide like a bull rhino. His heartbeat's pretty weak. He's got to be rushed to the hospital. This is the roof detail. Get an ambulance, but fast. So, I mean, Turpin, he did it. It took everything, and he's getting carried away on a stretcher. But he took this guy out, and we're gonna hold him. And it's kind of like, man, how are you gonna hold this guy? But, we got this far. We'll figure it out. Kind of makes me think of the Ghostbusters or something. They got to create a containment unit for these gods they get. Man, what a great story. I mean, you got, this war of the gods, and mankind is all caught up in it, and defending our own turf. And you can sort of imagine if the series had gone on, how, you would see the stakes raised. So first it's, Orion fighting Calibac, and it's in the city, and the local police, get involved. And then you could imagine like further battles escalating, and all of a sudden the state is involved. I guess I'm kind of thinking of Dark Knight Returns is kind of like that too. As it goes on, it becomes like a national thing. The army's brought in, the Air Force, and eventually escalating to like this like worldwide threat where like the United Nations and stuff is sort of, coming in to fight, as Orion's taking on Darkseid or somebody. I'm so grateful for what we have of this series, but it is, it does bother me sometimes thinking about, what we would have gotten had this thing been allowed to proceed, the way it deserved to. If Kirby were just sort of given the leeway to just go, we'd be living in a different world, I think, if this thing had sort of gone to completion, or even if it like reached the halfway point. If we got like 50 issues of New Gods or something out of Kirby, I think we'd be living on a different world right now. But we never found out exactly what happened to Dave Lincoln and Claudia Shane, but they're okay. Dave doesn't look so great. He doesn't look as bad as Turpin, but he looks like he's been through the ringer. Yeah, I know about you two, friends of the Super Wingdings. I love these names Kirby comes up with, Super Muck-Mucks, Super Wingdings. Well, they had some party up here. Until we broke it up, my money was on the main eventer, the muscle bender with the Irish name, Orion. Then he was here, and high above Metropolis, beyond the clamor of the night. I somehow never viewed the Earth individual as being that resourceful. Don't hide the real issue, Light Ray. You saw my true face. Yes, I also picked up your fallen helmet while in flight. You saw my face. I saw scars, both new and old, taken in the cause of New Genesis. You're a good friend, Light Ray. What a great epilogue. This is such a great capper. Just really, just more evidence of this, being, the greatest comic ever. What a great moment. And Light Ray is a good friend. And I do like the idea, scars, old and new, taken in the cause of New Genesis. Because, he does look nastier than the last time we saw him, but a lot of stuff's happened since then. He's been through a lot of fights. So this face, as the series goes on, is just going to get more and more, turned into hamburger. Coming next, a shocker from left field, a menace never seen before, from a world never known before, the horrible world of the Bug. So next issue, another all-time great, and it is like, just like with the introduction of the Black Racer, Kirby's going to be taking an issue out to introduce a whole new character, a whole new perspective on this whole world. Kind of turns the whole series on its head. Just like amazing stuff. Like, we're just so privileged to have something like this in our life. And then yeah, issue 9, like that'll be pretty much it for like this run of like great issues of the New Gods. Issue 10 is a bit of a stumble. It's got its moments, but it's not in the same league as this stuff. And then issue 11 recovers pretty great, a pretty nice ending of the series. Premature ending, but pretty great. Just still not missing a couple of the ingredients that make these ones great, but still great in its own way. And then the series is canceled, and then a little over 10 years later, Kirby gets to do his finale. Then we have a story of the Young Gods of Supertown. So we get another fastback story. And this one's pretty cool. We get the return of the Black Racer, who we haven't seen in a bit. We got a lot of these, speed-based characters. Fastback is the Flash of, or Quicksilver of Jack Kirby's New Gods universe. He's sort of the young, drag racer, and now he's got to race the Black Racer. Young Isak is missing, and the Black Racer is a sorry clue to his situation. Destiny has sent us on the same mission, Fastback. Life or extinction. It depends on which of us reaches our quarry first. And so it's on. He's got to race to find Isak before the Black Racer does. And he's off. Now he's going through a meteor swarm. We have the pencils to this issue. This is one of the few Coletta-inked Kirby New Gods stories where we have the pencils, so we can compare and contrast. I want to see what this meteor storm looks like in Kirby's pencils versus how it looks here. Apocalypse has turned space into a great trap for New Genesis life. It's littered with dangers like the great terror bats, which pursue and kill. So we have this, pretty cool looking bat chasing Fastback and shooting at him. I sort of, again, like I've been working on a New Gods project, on spec. It's not, DC didn't ask me for this. It's just, it's one of my life's works is, to one day do like a big, New Gods thing that sort of, picks up where Kirby left off. And so one of my thoughts was, we had the Deep Six, and they were the Apocalypse guys who were going to, turn Earth's oceans into shit, just weaponize the ocean and ocean life with Spawn. And so my thought was, there'd also be some group that would be terrorizing the air, terrorizing the skies. And so I was going to have some version of the terror bat, some like giant terror bat put together by some, sky equivalent of the Deep Six, and sending this, this giant thing out to destroy. This is like the least of Fastback's worries. He's got to contend with parademons. I love the world building that Kirby does, and he just keeps building off of it, until, you got this like amazing sort of Kirby space filled with all these dangers. And now Fastback whizzes on. He knows that the most sinister space trap of all is the Magna target, which holds its prey and pulls it towards Apocalypse, where it can be shot down and destroyed. So there's Isak. Just as I thought, the victim on that Magna target is young Isak. So it's these sort of magnetic floating targets that, pull you onto them and to where you're stuck right in the bullseye. And then, the parademons or whoever use it as target practice. He was ever curious as Metron. Because again, we've seen Isak as Metron's sorcerer's apprentice. The Black Racer, I thought I'd lost him. The Black Racer catches up with everyone, Fastback. No. One of us must claim him, Fastback. I'll do it. I must do it. Help me, Fastback. Zow. At the last moment, Fastback executes an unheard of burst of speed. Then, the weapons of Apocalypse have spoken. Their target is destroyed, but not its living prey, Isak. That was fantastic, Fastback. You outdid yourself. The Black Racer is nowhere to be seen, but he'll return again. He's neither lost nor won, but merely thwarted for a time. Again, great little Kirby short story, reinforcing the themes, and man, a split-second escape. So, there was a laser blast or something that was about to hit that target, and Black Racer was the metaphorical embodiment of it, and Fastback had to beat him. He had to be just fast enough to beat him, and he does. And just wonderful. Nice little bonus in a comic that was already, an all-time great. We get this nice little bonus. Thank you so much. And then we get, pretty cool Manhunter story. That's a pretty wild-looking opening splash. A real atmospheric artwork here. Kirby was great from day one. And then we get letters column. I love seeing these little, reprints of great, panels from previous issues. And then we have a letter in the letters column from Bob Rozakis, a future comics pro, a future comics writer who would start doing his first comics work for DC Comics 4 years after this. That's a pretty cool curiosity there. And guy's got great taste. He's plugged into what Kirby's up to. You're going to go far, kid, using Kirby as your inspiration. And that's that. So on Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 6th, there's going to be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan. Ask your local comics retailer to reserve a copy for you. And I'll be appearing at Phantom of the Attic Comics Oakland in Pittsburgh on Free Comic Book Day from 1:30 to 4, and I hope to see you there.